Kami po minority sa Senate. Hindi kami aligned with the administration. Okay? Sabi ko, ang tawag namin, we are critical cooperators. We want the administration to succeed. Okay? Kasi ang success naman niya, success ng bansa eh. Okay?
Tama.
Pero, tingnan nyo naman yung mga pangako tuloy ng Presidente, who is the brother of our sponsor na I hope umabot on a Sunday lunch meeting sa kanya. Okay. 20 pesos per kilo rice.
Right.
Oh, siyempre, binase niya yun on something. But if it was fed garbage in, garbage out. Okay, ang plano sa energy, bago daw siya matapos ang kanyang termino, total household electrification. Hearing natin, magkano budget? 70 billion. Saan manggagaling? Di pa namin alam. Official Development Assistant. Sa housing.
Housing.
6 million units, homes.
Binabala sa 3 million.
At the end of my term, 1 million a year. 1 year, more than 1 year now. Wala pa eh, na actual term. So in-adjust na lang. 6 million housing units to be launched. Oh. I mean, and then the poverty incidence rate.
No, I share the minority leader's frustration,
and I do not know the president very well, but I know he has interest in mathematics.
Yes.
Okay. Alam ko yan. Alam ni ate siguro yan. Okay.
He's math
interested
and
in
physics
mathematics.
major po.
Math and physics. Okay.
Yes po.
And then he always mentions governance being science-based. Okay, science-based. Pag mali-mali, science-based means you analyze the data, make your conclusions, but the data are researched. Iba-ibang klase research, theoretical, and of course the on-the-ground research. So siguro it's time for this administration to shape up in the first step. Let's have accurate data, collect accurate data so that the scientific-based decision-making process of this administration will really be effective and based on realities on the ground, Mr. President.
Yes, I think we all share your frustration, and that is why Listahan ng 3 will now be folded. PSA hopefully is strengthened and fed through the CBMS system. And that way we get a more coherent picture in the Philippines.
Kawawa kasi Presidente rin, Mr. Presidente. Sa zona niya, he mentions figures eh.
Yes, 18%
Pati unemployment rate, naki-question natin, tinanong natin ang doli. Mali-mali din ang mga figures. So ito, kung sabihin ng Presidente, poverty incidence rate will be down to 9% at the end of his term. Yun ang sabi.
That's the goal.
The starting point is 22%. If the DSWD figures are to be believed, mali. It should be 30%. Then how can he bring it down to 9% at the end of his term, Mr. President? So let's help the administration. We help the President by feeding him correct figures or siguro may factual basis naman po yung ating mga figures. Hindi lang siguro baka desktop or tabletop calculations lang po ito. Actually, I appreciate niyan the listahanan eh. Kasi ang assumption ko niyan, from the ground, sinuyod nyo po yung...
That's correct.
ground.
Kasi may mga pangalan yan eh. Hindi katulad ng PSA na sampling. Nagsasample rin yung listahanan, pero basically, as you said, it's derived from the ground.
MTFF assumption. Then how come the administration does not use the 30% figure of DSWD, the more accurate figure? Kaya yung plano niya sa 2028, by the time the President exits, 9% na lang daw, single digit na daw ang poverty incidence rate. Kawawa naman kung hindi talaga ma-achieve because he assumed 18 or 22% ng assumption. I'm getting the MTFF assumptions, Mr. Mr. President?
Yung lowest 40% of that.
Yes, I think the idea or the strategy of the DSWD is to saturate the poorest barangays. So yung more prosperous are excluded in their listing, which probably bloats the poverty number to 30%.
It
Kasi
does not-
saturation of rural and urban poor yan eh.
Secretary, with your people, it does not nga eh. That's my point. Even if we assume that the unsurveyed 5 million
Are all rich.
30% pa rin ang, mas masaba nga yung sinasabi nyo na 6 million of the 15 are poor. Ano na yun eh? 30+%, 36%, more than 36%.
Mas malaki talaga ever since yung DSWD working figures for poverty than PSA. Mulat sa poll, there's always been that disconnect.
Pero,
And we've
I mean-
always questioned it here in the Senate. And the answer has always been that their focus is to saturate the rural and urban poor barangays.
Yeah, but the administration which the secretary is part of, okay, your success will be measured against your promises. Tandaan nyo, the president promised at the end of his term, single-digit poverty incidence rate. Ang interpretation ko dun, not more than 9%.
Correct.
Okay. And of course, may assumption siya. Di ba saan siya nag-umpisa? Di ba? Nung na-turn over sa administration niya, may assumption siya. Ang layo, ang na-assumption na it's not in the vicinity of 30%, which is reflected by your figures na sinuyod ninyo from the ground. Ang mas maganda nga yung figures ninyo. Mas maniniwala ako sa figures ninyo. Well,
Talagang ever since PSA, mas malaki talaga ang DSWD at mas maniniwala ako sa DSWD with all due respect. Dahil may mga pangalan, may mga address, may kung sino-sino talaga ang nakalistang poor.
ang tanong ko po, do we see the problem or not? Yun lang yung tanong
Yes.
ko eh. I mean,
Yes, we're with you in complaining about this moving targets.
even the MTFF will fail, Mr. President, kung mali ang assumptions.
I think that's the reason why Listahanan 3 is now going to be folded in the PSA and CBMS data from the ground will be submitted to the PSA once and for all so we can consolidate all accurate data from below rather than projecting or sampling and so on.
Ito, at least we're talking to the President's sister, so, who is
I
our
don't know if
sponsor.
that helps the
Madam,
cause.
okay.
But I think there's a great hope pinned on the CBMS actually consolidating data once and for all. Dahil as we know, yung PSA naman very undermanned din. And the 2020 census, as a matter of fact, was finished very late dahil nga sa COVID. So talagang may problema lahat ng datos natin.